inquiry that is looking into the deaths of 77 people in August last year. Rivers has told the commission that since it has hijacked, Usindiso became a dangerous haven.
I see Usindiso was also on the list.
That is correct.
Can you explain why that?
Before it was a clinic, and a lot of our tenants in that area used it as a clinic. And when it was hijacked and the building was taken over, first of all, we lost the clinic in the area, and second of all, the hijackers were damaging the infrastructure around that space, and it became very dangerous for our tenants to walk past the building and through that area.
3 suspects have been arrested and over 4 million rand worth of stolen fireworks recovered at a temple in Phoenix in the north of Durban. Police say the fireworks were allegedly stolen from a warehouse in Camperdown. Working on a tip-off, police recovered some of the goods that were due to be sold to the public for the Hindu Festival of Lights, or Diwali, at the end of this month. Police say that the suspects will appear in court tomorrow and more arrests are imminent. And the UN says it's been forced to postpone a planned mass polio vaccination campaign in northern Gaza because of Israel's bombardment, mass displacement, and lack of access. The final phase of the 2-stage rollout was due to begin today. It was prompted by Gaza's first case of polio in 25 years. More from the BBC's Yolanda Nell.
From the start of this campaign, medical experts stressed that delays in a second dose of the polio vaccine for children in Gaza could jeopardize overall efforts to halt transmission of the highly contagious, potentially deadly disease. However, in a joint statement, UN agencies now say that current conditions in the north of the Palestinian territory, including ongoing attacks on civilian infrastructure, make it unsafe and impossible for families to bring their children for vaccination and health workers to operate. Israel's military has been carrying out a new offensive in the area, saying that it's acting against regrouping Hamas fighters.
The top story this hour, Eastern Cape Premier Oscar Mabuyane has commended the police for the swift arrest of 2 suspects linked to the mass murder of 5 family members in Bichi last week. The full circle now. It's for SAFM News at 1, ke Modupi Makgalemele.
Every person, no matter who you are, what music you're inclined to listen to, and what you do with your weekends. You need a weekend playlist.
When I started out, it was just a matter of seeing you every day. One day I'll reach it.
It's that musical mix of music that accompanies the lazy weekends, whether catching up with friends and family or just taking some time to reflect. Tune in to The Soundtrack of Your Life with me, Ernest Pillay, Saturdays and Sundays, 1 to 4 on SAFM.
The reality is that 90% of South Africans don't save enough for retirement. This National Seniors Month, why not be part of the 10% who do? Choose an interest rate of up to 11.7% after 60 months with a Nedbank Electronic Optimum Plus account. Anyone 55 and over can open one on the Money app in less than 2 minutes. Go to nedbank.co.za for more info. See money differently. Nedbank. We're a licensed FSP and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
Get ready, Mzansi! The jaw-dropping 82 million rand estimated lotto jackpot is your chance to take home big millions this Saturday. Don't delay. Play Lotto for an estimated 82 million rand jackpot today for your chance at an unforgettable win. Buy your tickets now in store on nationallottery.co.za, the mobile app, cell phone banking, or simply dial *120 *7529# for USSD. Panda, Pusha, play. Players must be 18 years old or play responsibly. eTuba is a proud operator of the National Lottery.
The Full Circle with Bridget Masinga, Monday to Friday, 1 to 3 p.m.
Time Together we will never get old. We got only tonight. Let's make it last forever. Only this time. Let it stay forever. 'Cause we got only tonight. Tonight. Only tonight. Tonight. Only tonight. Tonight. Only tonight. Tonight. Diamond rug up in the sky. I know that we will be together tonight, sharing my world, though sometimes so rough. Together we will never go wrong. We got only tonight. Oh, let's make it last, make it last. Baby, this time ain't on our side. No, forever. 'Cause we got only tonight. Tonight. Only tonight. Tonight. We got only tonight. Tonight. Only tonight. Tonight.
Kicking off the show on a familiar note this afternoon with Zonke coming through. Tonight is the name of this particular song, taken from the album Love, Love, and this was her 5th studio album. It came out back in 2018, and I just realized that was the last time I actually spoke to Zonke face-to-face in studio, was on the back of that album's release via Sony Music Entertainment. And it's such a wonderfully rounded album, and it went on to really do well commercially. Within its first couple of months, it already had garnered gold status. And then it went on to be nominated at the 25th South African Music Awards in the category of Album of the Year, Best R&B Soul Album, as well as Female Artist of the Year. And she clinched Best R&B Soul Album at that award ceremony. That is how we kick off the show today. I hope that you've had a good day. It's a beautiful day to have a good day. So if things are not going your way as yet, there's still plenty of time for you to course correct on that one. Don't let them steal your joy. That is the theme for this afternoon. We've got lots of agenda by way of conversation. We're bringing you a dialogue focused on mental health, and we're looking at understanding mental health and perhaps some of the challenges that are facing our youth in particular and young adults as South Africans, and potentially some of the solutions and interventions that maybe even ourselves as families and as a community and support structures can put into place to provide safer environments for them to come forward and share if they're having a moment and feeling as though perhaps they are struggling through some things, right? We're going to have that conversation, and as always, we invite you to be a part of it on 061-410-4107 is our WhatsApp line, and of course 086-000-2032 is the number that you can call us on. And because it is quite the lengthy dialogue, it's going to take up the better part of the first hour of the show. But we'd love to gain your perspective. Perhaps you yourself have been affected by mental health issues and challenges, and you'd like to share your own personal story, or share the stories of those, close to your heart and to your home. And you can do so anonymously, because we also do understand the sensitivities that often arise when we talk around themes like this. So you are more than welcome to share, anonymously, and we will respect that, of course. We actually had a conversation that sort of was leading us to this yesterday with singer-songwriter Brenda Mdambo, who we were catching up with on the back of her nomination for the SAMAs. And she's been so very candid and so very brave in recent times to share her struggles with mental health issues, particularly her struggles with anxiety. She's been clinically diagnosed with chronic anxiety. And as she reminded us again yesterday, that even the medications that have been subscribed to her by her overseeing physicians and clinicians are really not working. And so she's had to find tools. She's had to find lifestyle tools that work for her in the moments that she needs intervention. And we thought, let's carry on along those themes today. On the other side of 2 o'clock, we are going to be delving into a conversation around arts and culture, looking at some important works of a visual artist that's highlighting the queer existence. But we'll tell you more about that closer to the time. And she's coming through to visit us in studio today. Nomalanga the Flame Shozi is going to be on the show a little bit later on. Looking forward to that. She's always a bundle of joy, a firecracker whenever she enters the room. And so we're going to have her in studio and catch up with the incredibly talented Nomalanga the Flame Shozi. It's just gone 1:15 o'clock on The Full Circle with myself, Bridget Masinga, on SAFM.
Bridget Masinga, weekdays on The Full Circle.
It is The Full Circle with myself, Bridget Masinga. So I never understand, can we be in agreement? Can we be in agreement that if you ask us for songs that played on Sunday, there's absolutely no way that on a Wednesday we will be able to get you that song? So so if you are listening to SAFM on the weekend, you're listening to Bra Ernest, you're listening to KG, Michelle, maybe even Kutlwano, and you hear a piece that you really must have, and Shazam does not do the trick, on Wednesday, there's no way we can answer that. In fact, even after they've gone off air, there's no way that they can answer that for you. So you got to find out from them in real time what are the songs. And I say this because from time to time we get random messages, as I've just gotten now, asking after a Dionne Warwick song that played on Sunday. I apologize, but there's no way anybody can help you at this juncture. Let's take a quick pause, and then we come back and we get into our conversation. 061-410-4107 is our WhatsApp line. 086-000-2032 is the number that you can call us on.
The
The citizens of Manchester are highly motivated to cruise with a convincing victory against Southampton.
It's brilliant from Grealish, and Guardiola's up there as well. And City lead.
Meanwhile, the Saints are pumped up to fight for the entire match duration away from home.
It's flicked on, and again the Saints have the effort, and this time he does score. And we're back in the game.
This is the Premier League. Catch the exciting contest between reigning champions Manchester City FC and Southampton FC on Saturday 26 October at 3:30 p.m. live on SABC3. Also available everywhere for everyone, always on SABC Plus and SABCSport.com. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport. For the love of the game.
South African Airways is expanding in the DRC. We now offer direct flights from Johannesburg to Lubumbashi, the heart of the DRC's mining hub. Our convenient arrival time allows seamless connections to key regions like Ndola and the Copper Belt, opening up new growth opportunities. Traders can benefit from our generous baggage allowance, while SAA's superior aircraft belly capacity ensures your cargo reaches most parts of Congo on the same day. Book now at flysaa.com or contact your travel agent. South African Airways, connecting Africa to the world, one flight at a time.
The Full Circle with Bridget Masinga, Monday to Friday, 1 to 3 p.m.
All right, let's get into a conversation now. Our lines are open on 061-410-4107. That's our WhatsApp line. 086-000-2032 is the number that you can call us on. Have you or someone that is close and dear to you struggled with some kind of mental health issue, whether it be depression or anxiety? And how and where have you found support and also help in order for you to be able to build the necessary tool kit to deal with, times of trigger or times of stress and pressure? That is the conversation we'd like to have. And joining us in conversation this afternoon, we've got clinical psychologist Clementine Dlamini, as well as Gillen Scooter, who's a filmmaker and a writer, as well as social justice advocate and a suicide survivor. And according to the South African Depression and Anxiety Group, SADAG, youth suicide rates have been on the rise. Youth suicide rates have been on the rise, exacerbated by factors such as mental health struggles, economic instability, as well as social pressures. In fact, SADC reports that 9% of all teenage deaths in South Africa are death by suicide, and 23 people in South Africa commit suicide every day, whilst many more attempted. Because that's the conversation we always have, is that we must understand, and we had this conversation last month as well with an activist and a practitioner in the space, we must understand that more often than not, before there is a successful suicide, there have been prior attempts. We must also understand that suicide is not something that at times escalates. So at the earliest warnings, at the earliest signs that a person is struggling, that's when we need to kick into intervention mode. It's a fleeting thought, and then you wait for it to escalate in order for there to be action. When you see the signs, that is when we need to intervene. Clementine, how are you doing this afternoon? Let me start with you.
I am very well. Thank you, Bridget. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you so much for joining the conversation. 9%, sure. Some people might go, well, that's a marginal percentage. Is this a cause for concern? But in this conversation, even 0.1% is a huge cause for concern.
Absolutely. I fully agree with you. I think that 9% is alarming. And it is definitely a cause of concern because, we need to understand what is leading to a statistic like that. And what are the things that we are not doing? What are the things that we should be doing in order for us to get that number down? So definitely it is a concern, Bridget.
Yeah. Let's look at the current state of mental health amongst young folks, the youth and young adults in South Africa in particular.
Yeah. I would again borrow from the word that you've used, which is that of concerning, right? I think that young people in this country are struggling. However, not enough people are seeking help. Right. So I really think that people find it difficult to define what it is that they are struggling with. They don't have the language to communicate what it is that they're struggling with. And also, when it comes to a society at large, I think the stigma around mental health challenges is really something that makes it difficult for us to have these conversations. There is so much, I think, that young people in this country are faced with. I mean, you look at the rate of unemployment, you look at, things like social media, the pressures that come with everything around those things. So they're navigating a lot of different spaces at the same time. And it's difficult, it's overwhelming. I think something else that we tend to forget is that, if I can borrow from developmental psychology, young people are still in a process of growing. Developmentally, their brains are still developing. There's identity formation happening during those life stages. And these are all very critical periods of a young person's life. And so they're really dealing with a lot of areas that are difficult to navigate. And I think once you then add on mental health challenges into that, it really creates a complex picture for a young person.
Absolutely. And we're dealing here with anxiety, depression, self-esteem issues, substance abuse. Yes. It's a whole host of themes that fall under the banner of mental health factors. And we oftentimes, in our conversations, we focus on anxiety and depression, but we also don't look at self-esteem, right, which speaks to the social environment that young people have to exist in.
Absolutely. We don't focus on the self-concept enough. I fully agree with you. And, in the work that I do, I think a lot of the times I feel like this is where, as human beings, we operate from, right? Your self-worth, thoughts around your self-image, how you see yourself, how you perceive yourself as an individual, that is what often determines how you engage with your environment, how you engage with the world. So when it comes to issues of self-esteem, even though we do not have a clinical diagnosis to define, a lack of self-esteem, we do see that with mental disorders like depression, like anxiety, oftentimes self-esteem issues, accompany those diagnoses.
Yeah.
Right? People are struggling with how they're seeing themselves. They're struggling with where they are, feelings of incompetency, feelings of inadequacy, even, experiencing a sense of being a failure because they're not necessarily where they need to be or where their peers are. So you're 100% spot on when you say that issues of self-esteem have a huge role to play when it comes to this conversation around mental health.
Gillen is also joining us on the conversation. And Gillen is a filmmaker and a social justice activist and a suicide survivor. And Gillen, you had firsthand experience the unfortunate incident of the passing of your son, that ultimately changed the course in some form or another of your life and your family's life. Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, Bridget. Thank you for having me. Yes, indeed. In 2019, when my son was in his second year of university, finished his second year of university. It was in December, on the 1st of December. And he had just turned 20 a couple of months earlier. And he had been at the receiving end of a cancel culture, an orchestrated cancel culture campaign against him, in which he was profiled as something he wasn't, and being what is diagnosed as a highly sensitive individual, which is another topic, his ontology was not able to, after the 2 months that we didn't really know much about it, we were not able to help him in that period because he didn't actually speak to us, because there's a large amount of shame that comes with being cancelled and isolation, alienation, especially when you've been a very popular person. And it's delicious to actually cancel a very popular person. There's a lot more sort of energy around that. So, yes, that's what happened. And we, he came home after a night of being out there, and we then found him about an hour later after speaking to us for 2 hours about his problem. We found him in his room, and he had taken his life. And I say suicide survivor because myself, my husband, family, and all of Kai's friends, we're all suicide survivors.
Yeah.
So it has, huge repercussions. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think what you sort of touch on the social elements, right? How we engage and interact with each other in recent years on campuses, on social media. It also ties back into the highlighting of self-esteem issues, where oftentimes we don't engage the conversation around suicide ideation or death by suicide and tie it back to our social behavior and how that has an impact, can have an impact on a young person's life like your son Kai.
Yes, and I think that's got a lot to do with, and I call it an importation of discourses that are extremely toxic to humanity. They're sort of anti-human discourses. And a lot of that came into play from my experience was during the Fees and Fall period in the second year, when that movement was so powerful, and it was getting more powerful at a certain point. And suddenly they were intercepted with various discourses that are there to break up struggles. So you get identity politics that are all identities are making each other and demonizing each other, or, in power struggles, basically. And part of that sort of import was cancel culture, which gives various people on campuses a lot of power. It gives the youth a lot of power. And that power is really supposed to be projected outward onto the system that is actually the real bully, that is creating unemployment, that is servicing like the top 10% and nobody else, that type of thing. So in order to deflect from that type of activism, you divide and rule people, and they turn it on each other. And that's exactly how cancel culture has come about in South Africa. Globally, really, but South Africa and the US is where it really sort of grew itself.
Absolutely.
And so youth have a lot of power to take each other out. Now, there needs to be a whole new sort of learning cycle around how not to use power in that respect.
Yeah,
how not to be used by the system.
I want us to just pause there for a second, Gillen. We'll come back on the other side and continue exploring that theme. Let's just get into Madupi with the headline news.
Thanks, Sister Bridge, and good afternoon. In your headlines at 1:30, another suspect believed to be part of an alleged diamond investment scam has been arrested. Eastern Cape Premier Oscar Mabuyane has commended the police for the swift arrest of 2 suspects linked to the mass murder of 5 family members in BG last week. And trials are to begin of one of the world's first vaccines against the norovirus. I'll be back with a full news update at the top of the hour.
The Full Circle with Bridget Masinga, Monday to Friday, 1 to 3 p.m.
We are in conversation. We're having a dialogue during this first hour of the show focused on mental health. It is Mental Health Month, and we just unpacking the themes and issues around it. And of course, we invite you to be part of our conversation. And our lines are open on WhatsApp on 061-410-4107 or 086-000-2032 is the number that you can call us on. If you want to weigh in with your point of view, or of course, you'd also like to share just some of your own personal testimony around maybe whatever mental health issues you might be facing currently or that you've overcome in the past. And you can do so as well under the umbrella of anonymity. You are more than welcome to do so, because one fully understands the sensitivity around this particular conversation. And at times it's one that requires us to tap in to our innermost vulnerable corners, and display the kind of bravery that maybe in this time you are not willing to associate with your name. And we completely understand that, and we just appreciate your willingness to share your circumstances. So 061-410-4107 is our WhatsApp line, and 086-000-2032. And Gillian, you touch on something that's very important. I think, in 2024 and moving forward, we need to start challenging ourselves as societies around the toxicity that we dispel out there. It's become so easy, so fleeting for us to be not only combative, but to be so vile and to be so unbothered and inconsiderate around how we treat each other, the words that we use, the attack that we level on each other, face to face, on social media, on campuses. And we see this escalating a lot, right? By way of cancel culture, by way of what people call Black Twitter, where we are just not cognizant of the impact that we could potentially have on someone's life.
Sure. And we've seen that quite a bit, as a result of social media. We've had a few people, well-known people, that have taken their lives as a result of being mob attacked on social media. So you can imagine what it happens to a person in their formative years. As Clementine was saying, at that stage when your brain hasn't developed, you haven't developed a full sense of yourself. You're still discovering that through your peers, mostly. And it's very unfortunate. And I bring up cancel culture because it can happen to any child, anybody's child. It can happen to them. It's the last thing you expect. So I think there needs to be a lot of awareness around, as you say, toxic discourses. We need to reteach kindness, not in a sort of top-down religiosity way, but there just needs to be more sort of alternative therapy in terms of, there's straight-down psychology, and then you've got other things that need to be taught. Spirit. I mean, youth and children are externalizing everything about themselves. So the libidinal self is not something that develops within yourself. It's now out there. It's objectified. You're objectified. Everyone else is objectified. I don't know how you stop that in a world that is developing, but I think we do need to come up with new modules for new youth.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Clementine, any thoughts on that from a professional perspective? Because, you obviously deal with an array of folks, and I'm pretty sure some of the folks that have come to seek your assistance and guidance have touched on exactly this.
Yes, no, absolutely. And, I think it's unfortunate that oftentimes, we tend to work with the victims of such a culture. But I do think that there needs to be more of an awareness, in schools, in families, in larger, societies, communities, where even people who, perpetrate this kind of behavior are also brought in for help. Because for me, I think the way I look at it is that there is something fundamentally wrong. If you are an individual who, speaks in this manner or perpetuates this kind of toxicity towards other people. And I think that, in the cases that I've worked with, I've seen that sometimes children are not being parented at all. You do sometimes see an absence of influence when it comes to the home environment. They get into a school system, teachers have a certain responsibility. Teachers are sitting with lots of children in classes. They don't have that time to kind of look at a child's growth in a holistic manner, as maybe in a home environment we'd expect someone to do. But I agree, with what has been said in terms of we do need to look at alternative ways of providing assistance. It can't just be talk therapy or main therapy. I think there's so many different types of approaches that can be used. We have things like art therapy, music therapy. Young people often, are more accessible with those kinds of mediums What can we do in those kinds of spaces to facilitate these discussions, facilitate these conversations? So really, I do think that we sit with the responsibility of doing quite a lot in this area.
Yeah. Let's take a quick pause here and then we'll come back. We'll get into some of your WhatsApp messages. Our lines are open on 061-410-4107, or you can give us a shout on 086 000 2032.
And we went on a water safari, and Mom spotted a hippo, and it said,
There is a place where you can see wonder and the wild, with breathtaking scenery and endless landscapes. Enjoy good food and embrace great taste.
And the next day we went to the reed dance. I saw the maidens handing over reeds to the mighty Zulu king, and the Zulu warriors chanting, Baye!
Explore all this and more in the magical Zulu Kingdom. This message is brought to you by KZN Tourism and Film Authority.
Mzansi, we're going back to basics, celebrating the golden narratives that have shaped our nation's screens for the 18th South African Film and Television Awards, a tribute to 30 years of democracy, brilliance, and the future of South African entertainment. The red carpet sparkles at 7:30 p.m. and the main event shines brightly at 8 p.m. on Saturday, the 26th of October, live on SABC2, where you belong.
If you think you cannot afford a lawyer, think again. Clientele Legal has made professional legal services affordable for you. Whether it's a civil, criminal, or labor-related matter, we have a nationwide panel of attorneys standing by to assist you. SMS SAFM to 32195. That's SAFM to 32195 and we'll call you back. Clientele General is a licensed non-life insurer and an authorized FSP. Standard rates and terms and conditions apply.
SAFM 104 to 107 nationwide. Leading the conversation. This is Tulasizwe Simelane on the Morning Brief.
Do you regret prevaricating on acting on that declaration from 2022 from your Congress in supporting the ANC in the 2024 elections?
No. We have never prevaricated. It is important that people understand the text of the resolution. Every time we discuss elections, we reaffirmed the strategic importance of the alliance. We also took a decision that if the alliance is to make more impact, it has to be reconfigured. It was only in 2017 and 2022 that we made additions to that resolution.
That's Dr. Mohobetswane Mashilo, who speaks on behalf of the SACP.
Tulasizwe Simelane on the Morning Brief. All podcasts can be downloaded on safm.co.za. You're listening to Bridget Masinga on SAFM.
All right, our lines are open for you to be in conversation with us on 086 000 2032 is the number that you can call us on. 061-410-4107 is our WhatsApp line. There's a lot of moving parts behind the scenes. If you are live streaming us and you're seeing my hands flying all over the show, just trying to get all of our electronics up and running. Got a message here from somebody who says that they've been on chronic anxiety pills for the past 5 years now and occasionally triptyline, but they feel that music and quietness are the best form for them to cope, especially when triggered. And also they're learning to consider running as a way to assist. At least you found, methods that work for you. Are we able to play voice notes at this time? Are we able to play voice notes at this time? All right. Whilst they sort that out, let's jump back to Clementine. Clementine, let's talk about, and my listener here, mentioning just the different sort of social tools that they tap into in order to be able to deal with the moments that trigger them. Let's talk about, those interventions. And you alluded to perhaps our approach around this conversation needs to be different when we start looking at interventions, because it's not a one size fits all.
Absolutely. We cannot use a blanket approach when it comes to mental health disorders. I have seen a lot of people who have been diagnosed with, for example, major depressive disorder, which is, commonly known as depression. And I have never seen people present in the exact same way. This means that interventions often need to be tailor-made for individuals. Okay, so just like the listener was saying, they're on medication, have been on medication for 5 years. However, they found that, music works for them. They're considering running. This is how it works. We really, you as an individual, I always say to people, you know yourself better than any other mental health practitioner would. You know what you enjoy. You know what you like to do. Try and work around self-help strategies that are aligned with the person that you are. Some people don't like to run. Some people like to go outside. Sometimes I find that even something as simple as taking off your shoes and standing on the ground, if you're struggling with anxiety, just that feeling of being grounded and feeling grounded can help, someone. So there's a lot of mindfulness-based exercises that are freely available on the internet, based on a lot of psychological theory, have been researched that people can tap into. I really advocate for self-help strategies, Bridget, because I think we are all very aware of the cost of mental health services in this country. The average South African, a lot of the times cannot afford to see a therapist every single week.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm really big on us exploring self-help strategies. Go to the internet. SADC has really great self-help strategies on their website. These are things that can work. Not everybody who's diagnosed with depression needs to see a psychologist. This is something that I also find that people struggle with. When we diagnose these conditions, they occur at varying levels of intensity.
Yeah.
Varying levels of severity. People present with mild symptoms, moderate symptoms, severe symptoms, and based on the severity, we then determine what intervention you need. Some people need to be admitted. Other people need medication. Other people really just need, to lifestyle changes, for example, right? So that I think there's a lot of misinformation and misconceptions when it comes to mental health issues. But, having these conversations and sharing, I think, information will help us quite greatly.
Gillian, let me ask you this. I mean, from a mom, from a parent perspective, we at times have conversations on the show with survivors. Survivors of various traumas, right? And we explore also just the impact that situation has on you now, having to live without your son, but also I can only but imagine that in those first moments after he had taken his life, one of the things that probably comes to a parent is, what did I miss? How did I miss it? What could I have done? How do parents that are listening to you now, how do they learn from your story in as far as having to deal with the aftermath of that questioning, the aftermath of that guilt that they are inevitably now left to try and find healing from?
Well, I mean, I do think that, first of all, when you've lost a child as a parent, there is a state of being one step away from suicide yourself, in that, in thereafter, basically. So that requires, okay, first of all, when Kai died and we found him, I mean, the shock that sets in for those first few days, you just cannot believe it. You're wandering around like a specter, like a ghost, just saying, my boy, what happened? What did I miss exactly? And I think if there's any mention of suicide, I mean, we all talk about it, even Kai's friends. He told them that morning on his way home, that's what he wanted to do, but he wouldn't do it because he loved his parents too much. He told us the same thing. And because we had spent an hour talking to him, we had no idea he was going to do it. It came as an utter shock when I walked out to his room 15, 20 minutes later, and he had actually done it, So as you said earlier, if it comes up in any shape or form, any suggestion of it, any ideation, even, finding pictures of sort of, with a noose around their neck, which a lot of teenagers draw that kind of dark art. I think one has to be very immediate in dealing with that. It's very hard.
Absolutely.
But that's exactly. But I mean, I know 3 or 4 mothers who've all lost their sons, same age as Kai, around the same time. And I also do say that one has to get over the guilt, because any therapist will say to you, if you'd stopped them then, it was going to happen again. You do need to go for that kind of therapy, because otherwise you've got nothing to hold on to. You are going to blame yourself, and that's going to push you towards sheer depression and possibly suicide, yourself, because and that's one of the danger points about parents that have lost their children. And therapy is the best thing. There are talk groups that one can go to where you sit with other parents and you get rid of you talk about your guilt, because there's no way you don't feel guilt.
Yeah.
At the same time, yeah.
Absolutely. I want us to pause here, and then we'll come back and we'll get into some calls. Zig in Rustenburg, I'm going to come straight to you after this break.
Fizzy drinks and fruit juices are making our kids sick. Sugar is dumped into their bodies with every sip, leading to obesity, heart disease, and diabetes as they get older. We need to protect our kids from all sugary drinks. Demand a stronger health promotion levy now. Sign the petition on healer.org. That's HEALA.org.
Get ready for the biggest night in South African music. Tune in to SABC 1 on the 2nd of November at 8 p.m. for the 30th South African Music Awards, celebrating our finest local talent. Catch the yellow carpet action from 6 p.m. and join us as we honor the legends and voices that shape our sound. For more info, visit samusicawards.co.za. Hashtag Less Noise, More Music. Hashtag Summer 30 in partnership with the SABC.
What a day. Time for that face mask. Leave the face mask on for 2 minutes. 2 minutes? That's not even enough time for it to work. I can't even send an email in 2 minutes or make a cup of coffee.
With Santam, 2 minutes is enough to insure your car online. When you're fully protected with an expert insurer, you're free to live in the moment, not in the worry. Santam. This is freedom. Santam is an authorized FSP, a licensed non-life insurer and controlling company for its group companies.
Conversations that you connect with and react to. SAFM.
Afternoon, Bridget. The mentally ill women are sexually abused by relatives. As a result, they get infected, and there's a stigma amongst blacks. And sometimes people must wash them because they are dangerous, especially men. I was once attacked by a man who was used by the criminals. So sometimes they ran away from the hospital and go through those farms and being killed. The farm owner thinking that is a criminal. So for them, the relatives must take care of them and watch them carefully. Thank you, Bridget.
Zig out in Randburg, how are you?
Very well, thank you. And I'm very pleased that the subject is being discussed because I believe that bullying is probably the major factor of social expulsion by individuals, which then results in that. And of course, it also, I believe, strongly comes from domestic violence within the family and preoccupation with work and stress from life in their own environment, that kind of stress divorces children from their parents, and I believe also, and then they are even more exposed to the peer pressures exerted particularly by bullies who are regarded by their own teachers as the leadership potential of the Malema type.
Well, I don't know where he comes in, but thank you for the first portion, the greater portion of your sentiment. That was Zig out in Randburg. And I think maybe, Clement, what Zig sort of touches on here is just the intersectionality of the various themes, right? Because whether we look at the economic factors, whether we look at also just the political dynamics in our country that ultimately impact our social dynamics as well, there are consequences to these things. There are real life community and individual consequences to where we are right now socially.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And, if you're looking at this from a macro level, as you are mentioning, in terms of, at government level, policies and so forth, not enough is being done to address these issues on that level on its own, right? And that kind of dynamic then trickles down to the rest of the systems lower down. If you just look at something like, the budget, the national budget for health in this country, and you look at the portion that is allocated specifically to mental health in this country, it's quite concerning. It's quite concerning. The last time I checked, I think the number was about 5% of our, health budget is only allocated to mental health. How many times do you walk into a clinic and you see a poster about depression, a local clinic, in a rural community somewhere, but you will walk into a clinic, you will see a poster on HIV and AIDS, for example, or TB or diabetes. So not enough is being done about mental health challenges. However, we also sit with the reality that, even on our level, we need to be doing more. We need to be having these conversations. When I was told about this conversation, I was like, yes, because every single day we are trying to work at destigmatizing this conversation in our families. We're not talking about it enough. And I think something else that I just like to say is that we have normalized something that I like to refer to as hustle culture. So people are working overtime. You have a main job and you have 3 other jobs on the side because you're hustling. And I think that not enough time is given, to ourselves as individuals, checking in with ourselves, or even the families that we are trying to raise, because we rationalize it by saying, no, but making money so that the family can be okay. But emotionally, are we attending to our children? Are we attending to our friends, our loved ones, our parents on an emotional level?
Yeah. Just as we wrap it up, Gillen, I'll give you the last bite in our final moment. And maybe I'll ask you, what more can be done by educational institutions to put in place interventions, addressing issues on campuses, whether it be bullied, because before Kai considered taking his life, there was a situation that erupted on campus, and it was allowed to spiral out of control. And ultimately, those events led to your son dying by suicide. What interventions would you like to see campuses put into place in our last minute?
I think we need awareness campaigns at campuses, and that goes for wherever you've got the services where people can go to speak about their problems. There needs to be a recognition that it is a problem, first of all. And the schools as well. It must start at schools, because children at schools, junior schools, are getting bullied in the same way for using perhaps the wrong pronoun. There's a whole lot of things that have come in that have put more pressure onto people and how they express themselves. 9-year-olds, so it needs to start from school level all the way through to campus level. Before children go to university, I think there should be an induction course where they are warned about not only, and it's a serious problem, not only sexual violence, but also cancel culture, bullying, their own sort of behavior, self-reflection, etc. There's so much more to say on the topic, but
yeah, Absolutely. And there is so much to say, Gillian. You are so correct, because we just scratch the surface of, these conversations every time we have them. But it's important that we keep having them over and over, no matter how repetitive they might seem to be. Because just from today, I'd like to think that you've managed to touch another parent's heart. You've managed to give, another parent perhaps that sort of alert to say, no, your intuition is guiding you in the right direction. And if you've gone through this, that, there is the other side as well, where you can find some kind of life that moves in parallel with the grief that you still hold for your child. And of course, also just highlighting that if you are feeling that you are in a moment and maybe there's a lot for you to bear and handle right now, there are resources out there. And we know that the South African Depression and Anxiety Group at times doesn't have all the resources that it requires to attend to everybody that they need to attend to. But, there are also community resources. There are provincial resources. There are resources that, churches and clergy and teachers and principal will know for you to go and reach out if you find yourself dealing with some kind of mental issue. To both of you, thank you so much for carving out the time to be in conversation today. We appreciate it very much, and we are forever indebted. That was Clementine Dlamini, a clinical psychologist, and of course Gillian Scooter, a filmmaker and social justice activist. Madupi Mkhalamele is standing by with your 2 o'clock news.
Thank you very much, Sister B. The top stories this hour: another arrest in the diamond investment scam, and praise for police over the BG mass murder arrests. A very good afternoon. Another suspect, believed to be part of an alleged diamond investment scam, has been arrested. This brings the total number of those nabbed in the matter to 9, following multidisciplinary operations led by the Hawks in the Northern Cape. The suspects were arrested in Gauteng and the Northwest yesterday and today. The syndicate is alleged to be involved in dealing with unpolished diamonds and fraud. Hawks spokesperson Philani Nkwalase.
The suspects include a couple wherein the husband is alleged to be the mastermind behind the scam, along with his wife. The investors were scammed of more than 4 billion rand since 2019. Investigation still continues and more arrests are imminent. The suspects are expected to appear in the Broncos State Magistrates Court on Thursday, 24th of October, on charges which include but not limited to fraud, money laundering, theft, and racketeering.
The eThekwini Metro in KZN, the Ngaka Mudiri municipality in the northwest, and the OR Tambo municipality in the Eastern Cape have flouted the Municipal Finance Management Act. This is according to the SIU, which probed allegations of financial malpractice, corruption, and transgression in the procurement process at these councils. The findings indicate that some tenders were finalized at these municipalities without the councils sitting for formal approval. Eastern Cape Premier Oscar Mabuyane has commended the police for the swift arrest of 2 suspects linked to the mass murder of 5 family members in BG last week. He has also offered condolences to the family and hopes that the arrest will bring them comfort. Mabuyane has further urged communities to work with law enforcement to create a safer environment. Provincial government spokesperson Kusela Ranjie says they will continue to support the police in fighting crime.
The police prompt action demonstrate their unwavering commitment to ensuring justice is served and the determination to improve community safety. The police have also recovered suspected firearms used in the shooting, and the investigation is ongoing to identify any additional suspects. The Premier praised investigators and all parties involved for their meticulous work in tracking down the suspects. The Eastern Cape Provincial Government will continue to support the police.
President Cyril Ramaphosa has raised concerns about the current conflict in the Middle East, especially in Gaza. He was addressing world leaders at the BRICS summit in Kazan, Russia. Ramaphosa told the gathering that there must be an immediate ceasefire.
The conflicts that continue to rage in the world are of great concern to us. The continuing conflict in Gaza, the Middle East, resulting in the death of so many Palestinians, is a matter of great concern. We must continue to insist that there should be a ceasefire with immediate effect, and that there should also be recognition for the self-determination of the Palestinians.
And trials are set to begin of the world's first vaccine against the norovirus. The jab made by Moderna is a collaboration with the UK government and the British Health Research Institute. Researchers hope that the vaccine will reduce the considerable financial burden of the virus on health systems. More from the BBC's Philippa Roxby.
Norovirus causes vomiting and diarrhoea. Every year in the UK, it's the cause of 80 deaths and 12,000 hospital admissions. The mRNA vaccine being trialled targets 3 of the most common strains of norovirus. It will be tested on around 25,000 people, mostly over 60, in more than 6 countries around the world over the next 2 years.
Taking another look at your top story at 2 o'clock, another suspect, believed to be part of an alleged diamond investment scam, has been arrested, bringing to 9 the number of those nabbed over the matter. The Full Circle continues. For SAFM News, Kemudupi Makhalemele.
Fizzy drinks and fruit juices are making our kids sick. Sugar is dumped into their bodies with every sip, leading to obesity, heart disease, and diabetes as they get older. We need to protect our kids from all sugary drinks. Demand a stronger health promotion levy now. Sign the petition on healer.org. That's HEALA.org.
Southern African Queens are back on the battlefield. 14 teams will tackle each other in the search of the ultimate glory. This is the Hollywood Bets COSAFA Women's Championship 2024. Witness the great contest by regional football queens from 22 October to 2 November 2024. Live on SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4. Also available everywhere for everyone, always on SABC Plus and SABCSport.com.
For the love of the game.
The Chill Zone with Bertha Charuma.
You are in the arts, and the arts are not easy.
No, they are not.
Especially in our country.
Oh, for sure. It's a sacrifice of mind, body, and soul while you're trying to make a living. You're right. In our country, it's paramountly difficult. One needs to be you either kicking down the door or you're forcing your way through. But it's the love and the commitment to the decision one would have made, which I did. When I decided that I was not going to be a chemical engineer, I would much rather jump around and look happy and make people laugh. So certain sacrifices need to be made.
Shoki Mola, South African actress known for her acting role of Celia Kunutu on Skim Sam.
Bertha Charuma, Fridays, 8 p.m. to 12 a.m. All podcasts can be downloaded on safm.co.za. Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Myths versus facts. I'm too young to get breast cancer. Many women under age 40 are diagnosed with breast cancer. Men can't get breast cancer. 1 in 922 men have a lifetime risk of breast cancer. I have never had children and can therefore not get breast cancer. Women who haven't had children or only had them after 30 have an increased risk of breast cancer. Breast Cancer Awareness Month on SAFM. The Full Circle with Bridget Masinga, Monday to Friday, 1 to 3 p.m.
ngenhliziyo yami baby wozala ngibambele duze ingaba nguwe no odlala ngenhliziyo yami baby njalo ma nawe lady uyangiconfusa angibonaba kepha my baby ngibona wena ay endiqimba ukuba right nawe usisiwe kanti undenza isibhanqa sakho mara wayiwa Every time I look at you, I see your eyes, your smile, your touch. It's killing me softly, yeah. Jabu, Angina. Say to you, everything I want and more. You everything I need and more. Baby, you mean the world to me. Baby, you mean everything to me.
Over coming through with Nguwe. Wonderful song to kick us into the second hour of the show. It's just gone 2:10. In case you are on your way to go pick up a little one from someplace, just so that you can keep track of the time. We're getting into a conversation now around an artist that I'm not all too familiar with, but this is why we do the show, right? Because they are moments where you and I get to learn and expand our knowledge together. And we're unpacking the work of visual artist Joe Rocker and, of course, the importance and the symbolism within their artistic discipline and practice, particularly as it highlights the queer existence perspective. And we've got joining us now Dr. Barnabas Tisha Mubuti, who is an art historian, a postdoctoral associate in art history at Rice University, helping us weave through the importance of this work and, of course, the significance of the artist's voice within the greater visual arts. Good afternoon to you, Dr. Barnabas. How are you doing today?
Good afternoon, Bridget. I am well, and greetings to all SAFM listeners.
Thank you so much for making the time. And I think before maybe we even get deeper into the practice and the narratives that Joe Rocker explores, maybe let's get some context, because I never purport to know every visual artist, from every corner of our beautiful continent. So myself, I'd like to get some context and some history behind who is Joe Rocker.
To be honest, I encountered them sometime, I think 2 years ago, when I was expanding my research to Namibia and so on. They are basically a visual artist and also a mentor and a curator. So they wear many hats, and they have really been sort of consistent in their work at the heart of maybe establishing the art sector in Namibia. They've been also sort of highlighting the marginalized communities, and that is a factor that is at the core of their work, especially the queer community. What I would also like to highlight is the fact that they have been in the game for quite a long time, to such an extent that when we start talking about maybe the triangle network work that happened around maybe the 1980s and so on. Yeah, they've been there for that long.
Wow. So quite the career and quite the important career as well from what I read, because they are very much at the center of highlighting and magnifying marginalized voices within the LGBTQIA plus community.
That's right. That's right. To them, it's also personal as a queer artist. And I think if we look at our communities in Southern Africa, no matter how progressive maybe the constitutions that we have are, for example, like in South Africa, and then also Namibia recently sort of repealed the sodomy laws and so on, which were very much colonial in nature. But the attitudes of the community still remain the same, especially among us Black people towards the queer community. And Joe Rocker has been sort of try to push this narrative, try to fight for the queer community, try to, fight against the dehumanization of the queer people.
Yeah, and let's talk about their impact, right? The work that, well, rather the impact that their work has had for the LGBTQIA plus community within Namibia. Because we'd also like to understand just how the conversation and how the environment and these themes are at play in our neighboring countries.
That's right. I think, the work has had a significant impact. to such an extent that there is, in a way, maybe recognition and welcoming of the queer community within the art sector. But then it's because people have been prepared to sort of unlearn certain things over the years. But then the art sector is only a small portion within the community, and attitudes outside it still are very much the same. But I must say, in within the arts community, the work has had a great impact.
Yeah. I want us to have a quick pause here for an ad break, Dr. Barnabas, and then we'll come back on the other side. And I want to explore the solo exhibition that's titled So She Was Turned to a Pillar of Salt. That is at the Project Room in Windhoek, Namibia. It's just gone, it's fast approaching 2:20, let's put it that way, on the Full Circle with myself, Bridget Masinga on SAFM.
And we went on a water safari, and Mom spotted a hippo, and it said,
There is a place where you can see wonder and the wild, with breathtaking scenery and endless landscapes. Enjoy good food and embrace great taste.
And the next day we went to the reed dance. I saw the maidens handing over reeds to the mighty Zulu king, and the Zulu warriors chanting, Baye!
Explore all this and more in the magical Zulu Kingdom. This message is brought to you by KZN Tourism and Film Authority.
It's Volley Weekend on a high note with final analysis on Sunday night. The premium wrap-up show, giving you match highlights, final scores, post-game reactions, expert analysis, and sport news weekend roundup of the local and international arena. Catch final analysis every Sunday at 8 p.m. on SABC Sport on TTT Channel 4 and 10 p.m. on SABC 3. Also available everywhere for everyone. Always on SABC Plus and SABCSport.com. Hashtag We've Got It All. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
Get ready, Mzansi. The jaw-dropping 82 million rand estimated lotto jackpot is your chance to take home big millions this Saturday. Don't delay. Play Lotto for an estimated 82 million rand jackpot today for your chance at an unforgettable win. Buy your tickets now in store on nationallottery.co.za, the mobile app, cell phone banking, or simply dial *120*7529# for USSD. Panda, Pusha, play. Players must be 18 years old or play responsibly. E2BA is the proud operator of the National Lottery.
Fizzy drinks and fruit juices are making our kids sick. Sugar is dumped into their bodies with every sip, leading to obesity, heart disease, and diabetes as they get older. We need to protect our kids from all sugary drinks. Demand a stronger health promotion levy now. Sign the petition on heala.org. That's HEALA.org.
Bridget Masinga, weekdays on the Full Circle.
We are in conversation with Dr. Barnabas Mabuti, who is the postdoctoral associate in art history at Rice University, based out in Texas. And the good doctor penned a piece in the conversation with some collaborators around the works and contributions of artist Joe Roga. And this, of course, the new solo exhibition that's called So She Was Turned to a Pillar of Salt, that is at the Project Room in Windhoek. And so we thought we'd invite the good doc to come through and to give us some history, some context, as well as some direction around the artists and the work that they've created over years and the social and political impact that that work has had or may have on communities in and around Namibia. The title, Doc, So She Was Turned to a Pillar of Salt. Unpack that for us a little bit more, because I was doing some reading and they said that this is one that one has to approach from the perspective of a radical feminist. But expand on that for us a little bit.
Yeah, basically, the title sort of is sort of borrowed from the Bible. the artist is employing this metaphor of Lot's wife's story. The idea of choosing to look backwards, going against the laws that are set, and then at times you get punished, like what happened to Lot's wife. Basically, it highlights all Joe Rogai has been highlighting, whether it's the marginalization of the LGBTQIA plus community, and also sort of brings in say all the mediums that they've been working in. But then the idea of a radical feminist, like you are going against the grain. You really know sometimes you get this sort of punishment, and then still it's sort of that idea of yearning to be heard and asserting yourself. That but then so it's sort of a personal thing to Joe Rogai, but also something that we can consider as a mirror on all of us, right? Whether we choose, when we witness certain things, whether we choose to air them or we choose to remain quiet, but then also like not fearing the punishment that we are going to receive, maybe.
And I wonder, just just talking about that, not fearing of the punishment that we're going to receive. I know in 2016 they were forced out of Namibia. Their work permit was not renewed, and it's not clear from what I've read whether or not that had in any way, shape, or form had anything to do with the kind of activism work that their visual paintings and their visual representation actually evoked.
Yes, it's very much to do. It has very much everything to do with that, and how consistent they have been over the years, even before Namibia repealed these sodomy laws. So, of course, when you do that, certain powerful people get, who are so sensitive or get to, this narrative that people keep on saying, maybe the idea of the queer narrative and so on is an African, and whatever it goes against our culture and blah blah blah. So certain conservative elements within government, certain people that are so sensitive to that, decided to say, okay, maybe we silence you by not allowing you to stay in our country anymore. So they had to move out of Namibia.
The other thing that is of interest around their work is that some of the artists' work has actually touched on very current issues in that are at play in Namibia. For instance, one of their work depicts or is a reflection of the hate killings that happened in Namibia, that had previously gone unreported by mainstream media. The artists felt a sense of need and importance to highlight these and to bring these to the fore. And that says a lot around speaking for those who otherwise don't have a voice, literally and figuratively.
That's right. Yeah, and yeah, this has been at the core of their work, like highlighting such matters. And it's not only matters in Namibia, like the hate killings and so on. Also, like within that work, you also find some doilies that reference what is going on in Palestine at the moment, right? Yeah, so they have been drawn to these contemporary issues and very much highlight the everyday issues that are affecting our communities and the world as a whole.
Absolutely. I think, it's been such an incredible conversation And thank you for bringing to our attention, my attention, personally, the work of a very important artist coming out of our region. Joe Roga is a name that we will remember from henceforth. I wish one could actually see this exhibition in its full splendor. Am I to assume that it's still running? Do you perhaps know if it's still running at the project room in Windhoek?
The exhibition is just come down, but then they were telling me that there are plans that they might have an exhibition in South Africa at some point at a venue to be announced.
Okay.
So, yeah, definitely South Africans might be able to witness this work. I don't know if we still have time. I could say something quickly.
Sure.
Yeah. Part of my work is to really also highlight the stories of artists that I realize maybe can be written out of history. So it's easier, like curators and art historians in our region tend to write sort of obituaries when artists have died, and also like to have these big retrospective exhibitions when an artist has died. And sometimes it's just a noble thing to give an artist flowers their flowers to give them what they deserve while they are living, and I feel people like Joe Roga deserve that.
Absolutely. A very important sentiment indeed. Dr. Barnabas Mubuti, thank you so much for the time and, of course, for your contributions towards the archiving of our collective histories as creatives. That was Dr. Barnabas Mubuti, and that work by Joe Roga has come down at the project room in Windhoek, but they are on social media, so you can go and have a look at their Instagram handle and get a sense of the kind of narratives and themes that they explore on canvas. It's just gone 2:30. Madupi is standing by with the headline news, and then that should take us into our kids programming with Kids Corner. On the other side of that, the firecracker is going to be in studio. Nomalanga the Flame, aka Shozi, is joining us.
Killed during a shootout with the police. Another suspect, believed to be part of an alleged diamond investment scam, has been arrested, bringing to 9 the total number of those nabbed in the matter. And President Cyril Ramaphosa says BRICS member countries are awaiting a report by finance ministers and central bank governors on the use of local currencies by the bloc. And those are your headlines. A full news update, 3 o'clock.
SAFM 104 to 107 nationwide. Leading the conversation. If you think you cannot afford a lawyer, think again. Clientele Legal has made professional legal services affordable for you. Whether it's a civil, criminal, or labor-related matter, we have a nationwide panel of attorneys standing by to assist you. SMS SAFM to 32195. That's SAFM to 32195 and we'll call you back. Clientele General is a licensed non-life insurer and an authorized FSP. Standard rates and terms and conditions apply. The Market Update, Monday to Thursday, 6 to 7 p.m.
Want to stay ahead of the financial game? Join us tonight from 6 to 7 p.m. for an insightful journey through the day's market developments, financial updates, and investment news. Tune in for your daily dose of financial intelligence as we navigate the twists and turns of the financial landscape with expert insights. Only on the SAFM Market Update.
SAFM Market Update with Jimmy Muyaha. The Full Circle with Bridget Masinga. Monday to Friday, 1 to 3 p.m. This program is brought to you by SABC Education. Enriching minds, enriching lives.
Hello, my name is King David Eze. I learn in Parktown Public School, grade 5C, and I'm 10 years old. The way I tell my parents something that I think it will make them upset, first I will figure out a way to make it not look as if I did it wrongly. And then I tell them kindly as if I don't want them to hit me because I obviously know they will hit me. I tell them they will process it in their mind. Eventually they will talk about it and see how they will get a new one for me. Thank you.
Hello guys, my name is Angela. My surname is Koza. I am in grade 3. I am 9 years old. When I know that what I'm about to say will make my parents angry, last week I left the tap running in the bathroom. Then I blamed my brother. So no one knows that I blame my brother. Ne? So if my parents hear this, I am in big trouble. To make my parents not to realize that I've done it, I say, Mama, can I please wash your feet and massage you? My mother won't realize. Ne? Thank you.
Hi, my name is Nkosinati Maikwaza. I learn in Patan. I learn in grade 3A. If I know what I'm about to say will make my parents angry, I will make my mother breakfast and do my mother tea and do for her bed. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Tebucho. My surname is Murwane. I am 9 years old. My class is 3B, room 16. How I tell my parents something that will upset them, I be scared. I be like, Mom, let's say I went to Bramne with my friends without telling him. Now when I come back, go, he will be holding the belt. And then I hear the belt, and then I say, how I tell him. And I never did it again unless I went to them to ask.
My name is Rufulpela Ratogwa. I live in Polokwane City. The thing that made my parents angry with me is when I forgot to do my homework. I am a very forgetful person when it comes to schoolwork. Anyway, so the thing that I did to satisfy them is that I never got an incomplete work ever again.
Hi guys, my name is Kay. So my school has these things called cycle tests. So it's tests that you do every week, and sometimes I don't always get such a good mark in my cycle tests, and my parents get quite disappointed. And I know I am trying, and although they're disappointed, they're trying to help, I guess, but at the same time it's like very hard because I'm also trying and it's not good enough. So that's the thing that disappoints my parents a lot, and I don't really know how I can fix it right now because I'm trying to correct it and it's just not working. But one day I'll also do very, very well in school, and I know I'm doing good. It's just sometimes I don't do as well even though I study. Sometimes I'm just not that good at the subject.
Hi friends, and happy Wednesday. Today I have a question for you. How do you express yourself when you realize you've made a mistake with someone older like a parent or teacher? It's completely normal to make mistakes now and then, and that's perfectly okay. What truly matters is how you respond afterward. When you've done something wrong, especially to an elder, being honest and respectful is key. Always aim to communicate politely and work towards making things right. The first thing to do is acknowledge your mistake. If you accidentally broke something or didn't follow directions, it's important to be upfront about it. Saying something like, "I'm sorry, that wasn't my intention." Show that you recognize your error. Once you've admitted your mistake, the next step is to offer a sincere apology. This means saying sorry because you genuinely feel it, not just out of obligation. You might say, "I truly apologize for what I did, and I'll make sure it doesn't happen again." This communicates that you care about how your actions affected the other person. It's fine to share why the mistake occurred, but be careful not to make excuses. You could say, "I was feeling upset and made a poor choice." This helps them see that you understand the mistake while also sharing your feelings. If you can, try to correct the mistake or offer assistance. For instance, if you created a mess, you could volunteer to clean it up. Or if you hurt someone's feelings, you might ask, "How can I make it better?" This demonstrates that you are taking responsibility and want to improve the situation. Or if you hurt someone's feelings, you might ask, "How can I make this better?" This demonstrates that you are taking responsibility and want to improve the situation. After you've acknowledged your mistake, apologized, and attempted to fix it, it's important to learn from the experience. Reflect on how you can make better choices in the future. Remember, it's okay to make mistakes. Everyone does. What's most important is your effort to improve moving forward. By being honest, apologizing, and taking responsibility, you show respect to your elders and grow into a more considerate person.
This program was brought to you by SABC Education. Enriching minds, enriching lives. SAFM values your views. Be an active citizen. Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Myths versus facts. I'm too young to get breast cancer. Many women under age 40 are diagnosed with breast cancer. Men can't get breast cancer. 1 in 922 men have a lifetime risk of breast cancer. I have never had children and can therefore not get breast cancer. Women who haven't had children or only had them after 30 have an increased risk of breast cancer. Breast Cancer Awareness Month on SAFM. SAFM has signed a code of conduct that is enforced by the Broadcasting Complaints Commission of South Africa. Under the code, we are committed to giving news that is accurate, comment that is fair, and programming that is not harmful, does not amount to hate speech, or contain violence or explicit sex. If you think we are not living up to that code, then you can inform the Broadcasting Complaints Commission of South Africa. Direct any complaints in writing to the Broadcasting Complaints Commission of South Africa. PO Box 142365. Craig Hall 2024. Fax to 011-326-3198 or an email to bccsa@nabsa.co.za. For more information, please visit www.bccsa.co.za. SAFM supports a litter-free South Africa. Play your part in keeping our surroundings and environment clean. SAFM, leading the conversation. The Full Circle with Bridget Masinga, Monday to Friday, 1 to 3 p.m.
Yazi ukuthini, one of these days funeka ngifunde ithakazelo zakashozi, because njalo masikhuluma noNomalanga, she always makes reference to me by isithakazelo. Like, one of these days ngizosifunda ithakazelo zakashozi so that nami I can return the favor. She is a celebrated South African TV and radio personality. She's nominated currently for the South African Film and Television Awards in the Best TV Presenter category for her vibrant work on SABC One's popular show, The Source. No stranger to this world. Unjan, how are you?
Ngiyaphila, ngithi nje angiqale ngokubingelela to all of the SAFM listeners, and to you, Sis Bridget, ngingakufundisa. Yabo nje ithakazelo zakasho.
Wait, let me get camera ready.
Okay.
I don't want to miss the moment.
Okay.
As much as we are live streaming, but I don't want to miss the moment. All right.
Okay.
Sengired.
Shozi, kabisa, khawula, hlongwa, mtumaseli. zonke lezi thakazelo zakwa-shows.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
I love how Abantu was saying to my producers the other day. So for Heritage Month, we were talking to royals from, around tribes that aren't really celebrated or don't get all the PRing and the limelight. And so we were asking people for itakazelo, ituku, isirete, all these things. And I was like, isn't it interesting how everybody always knows the first 3 or 4 because they make reference to surnames or names.
Yes.
And then when it gets, there's always a line in this takazelo that talks about something ridiculous.
Yes. And who you are as a people, what you've done, what you've conquered. Usually it talks to the history of your clan and what they did.
Right.
Blah, blah, blah. I can go forward. I can go there. But I
love it. You look gorgeous. We appreciate you coming all the way up to see us today. Much appreciated.
Ngiyabonga nami. As do you. I'm so glad to be in studio. I know the last time we did this, it was a telephonic, so this is really cool. It feels like I'm at the SABC, really. It does. It really does.
What are you saying, Nomalanga? Are you saying we are such the archaic SABC dinosaur as being the oldest radio station?
Not really, but the energy here, the equipment and also the team, ngiyabonakala ukuthi khona abantu abaseasoned lana. I mean, ubaba wethu who's operating the camera as we're live streaming. Uyabona ukuthi umuntu oyaziyo le ndawo. He's a part of this place and it feels like an honor, really and truly. I feel like I'm stepping into a part of history.
He's part of the institution. Yeah, what about the institution in a nice way? You gotta love these.
In the best way, I promise.
In the best way. Let's rewind it a little bit to folks, who aren't familiar. But you broke into this industry a couple of years ago now, and I think it was around 2015, 2014, somewhere around there?
Okay,
because
so
TV came first, right?
Radio actually came first. Fresh out of high school. So ngaqedi high school in 2012.
Yeah.
2013, I took a gap year and just wanted to discover what I actually enjoyed, because a lot of my schooling career was just very much focused on the academics, being a high achiever. So I said, let me just see what I actually enjoy, and then radio found me. So my first ever gig in the entertainment industry was at a community radio station at Port Shepstone, Ugu Youth Radio, and that was my first, intro to what it is to being a broadcaster.
So, Port Shepstone, is that where you were born and bred?
Yes, Ngwase Port Shepstone, lower south coast of KZN, in a little village called Epopoi.
Okay.
That's where I'm from.
Oh, wow. My sister, Rocks, Paper, Scissors, was born in Port Shepstone. We stayed there, I think, for about a year or 2.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
My stepfather's job. My stepfather used to be the manager of OK Bazaars.
What?
And so we were in Port Shepstone for a very fleeting little while, but I do remember it distinctly in my mind. Oh, wonderful.
OK was a big deal. It really was. Back then, however, OK, sastenga kon.
Oh, I can't. When did the family, is the greater part of the family still in Port Shepstone?
Everybody, yes, except for the children, obviously, because we've just decided to spread our wings. I mean, it is a small town, but dynamite does come in small packages.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So give us a picture, paint us a picture of Nomalanga Shozi as a young girl in Port Shepstone, because we want to see it. Because you've always, the minute you burst onto our screens, you've always been this ball of fire, this vibration, the big hair, the big smile, the big voice. Were you always like that?
I think I always was. Listen, I come from a very big family. So my father in total has about 13 kids.
Rima?
Yeah, I have a lot of siblings, right? So you had to stand out somehow, at the family gatherings, whether it's Christmas, whether kunomcimbi, wenziwani, wena udumengan, you're a part of this family, but what is your thing? What's your spark? So I think just growing up, I always had that ambition to always stand out. And I think it also infiltrated into my schooling career, because then I'm the captain of the volleyball team, captain of the debate team. My essay is always the example and the standard. I was always just that kid, and it was from even grade 1, participating in things like arts and crafts, talent shows. I used to host those. in high school, you know, and in primary school, I used to participate and always stand out. So I was always in the newspaper. I think the first time I was ever reported about in the news was in 2003, and I was in grade 3, you know, so things like that, you know, becoming head prefect and making the paper in the news for things like that. So I definitely think the spotlight or positions of leadership have been something that just followed me throughout my life.
Yeah, I mean, listen, they say long before we take our first breath, right, our lives have been ordained by the highest power, the path that you will take. And you might deviate and do this and do this because you're co-creating.
Yeah.
But essentially, you will end up where you were always meant to end up, you know, and it definitely sounds like that.
Yeah.
So, 13, number ba? From the bottom top.
From the top, I would need to count, but maybe let's start from the bottom because within wedlock, I'm number 2.
Okay.
So then there's 2 after me. So I'm number 11.
You're number 11?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
From the bottom? From the top?
If we count from the top,
okay.
yes. Yeah.
So umdala.
No, ngimncane, because if go number 11, should 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Then 10, 11, 12,
okay.
13.
No, I get you.
Yes,
okay, I get you. Okay, I get you.
Yeah.
Sorry, I flipped it the other way around. Okay.
Yes,
so you're one of the llama keys.
Yes, I am one of the llama keys.
Oh, so cute. So olaka. And then you go and you audition. So firstly, let me understand this. One day I'll tell the story about how I walked into East Coast Radio in grade 11 and asked for a meeting with the programs manager one day.
I love that.
But let's talk about your story.
Queen.
Because straight out of high school,
yes,
you now were like, actually, I want to do this.
Yeah. So I was in a taxi. I was going to town for something. I think I was going to the library. Library. It was my favorite place. I had a library card. If you wanted to find me, that's where you found me. Civic Center, Port Shepstone. They know me by name. Do you understand me? So I'm on my way to the library. We're listening to the radio. And I had this opinion that I don't even know till today. I said something about the show and I was like, if it was me. So the guy sitting next to me is like, oh, is that right? And I said, yes, very right. He says, how old are you? I'm like, I'm 18. He says, well, I'm the station manager. I'm actually doing market research.
Oh.
You know, ngilalela ukuthi abantu bathini ngestage sethu, in while they commute. I'd like for you to come to studio tomorrow and show me your stuff if you're as good as you say. And I said, this guy does not know how many times I have practiced for this very moment with a microphone in front of my mirror, with a scarf over my head, pretending it was a long weave. Do you understand? I was so prepared. I said, okay, great, let's go. So the next morning I go. He makes me co-host with the breakfast team. And then they said, great, you're hired.
I love it.
Yeah.
So what were you doing there? What, as part of the team, what were you? Were you full-on co-presenter? Were you doing traffic? Were you...
Co-presenter immediately. It almost seems as if it was fate. Almost as if they were looking for a presenter, to co-host with their current host. And that person happened to be me.
I'm not going to ask you what happened to the other presenter.
Let's not.
Yeah.
Let's
No. I won't ask.
We held it down for a couple of months, though. I'll definitely tell you that. Yeah.
Okay.
It was amazing. It was such an experience. It was such, an eye-opener for me as well. Finally earning my way, paying my way, not having to ask my parents for anything.
How much were you getting paid there?
600 Rand a month.
600?
Yeah, and I still had to pay tax, my babe. Do you get me? Yeah. So all I did with the money was my hair and transport, and the rest of it just went to tax. But I was very much fine with that because it meant I could afford myself,
Yes.
And that's all I ever asked my parents for anyway, just money to do my hair, toiletries and things like that. And I could do that for myself. So I was content.
Yes. So $600.
Yep.
You know what I love about these stories? I was just saying as we started the show, I was talking to a young niece of mine, and she's a qualified chef, and she's doing her internship, and she's like, I can't believe I was working and burning myself at this kitchen and I'm not getting paid.
And we are Shalapa.
And I was like, do you know that there are people who would give their life just for the opportunity? Sometimes getting paid is not the end goal.
Yes.
Sometimes what you want is the foot in the door.
Exactly.
And then the time will come for you to start commanding your worth.
Yes. Yeah.
I love that. $600 is what did you spend your first salary on? Do you remember?
I bought ngathenga a hairpiece. Hairpiece, yeah. I needed to invest in my look. I've always
Yes.
been obsessed with hair. And obviously there's a backstory to that as well. The reason why when I burst into the scene, I had this big afro. That's why I said I used to wear a scarf to pretend it was hair.
yes.
Yeah, my dad was like, you will not have hair. And
religious thing?
No, it was just, I think it was like a social... like socializing me thing. Would say,
right.
don't focus on your looks, and obviously in this day and age it would be seen as oppressive, and at the time I definitely felt like, why are you guys doing this to me? But it really allowed me to focus on other things, and I was a kid, I really was. When I look back now, it wasn't as bad as it felt during
Then.
the time. Yes, 100%. So I wasn't allowed to have hair my entire schooling life until grade 10, because then I was like, guys, come on, give me something. Give me something to work with,
These cheekbones and jawline need something.
I mean, they need something. Also, I'm watching, America's Next Top Model. Do you
Yeah.
get what I mean? Like, I know all about the beauty and hair and makeup industry now. I was like, I can actually handle myself, So that was it for me, really. So the hair piece was the first thing that I bought, because I was like, the minute I start to grow my hair, I want it to be as big as possible. And it wasn't growing fast enough. Bridget, it wasn't growing fast enough. I said, no, man, my hair needs extensions. So I got the biggest afro extensions anybody could imagine. And that became my thing.
Yeah. And I love that, because part of branding, right, is about the look.
Yes.
Karl Lagerfeld often talks about this, because you must have a distinct look.
Yes.
That is you.
Yes.
Where people can be like, And when you think Nomalanga, you think, oh, the girl with the afro.
Yes,
And she's changed it over the years and explored other things.
Yes.
But essentially, that is how we identify you. It's the girl with the afro. Signature.
Yeah.
There's a lot that you understood as a young kid. And I wonder, if you even realized at that time, Wuti, actually, these are all the tools that will, branding, image, marketing, all these things you seem to innately understand without even having the wording for what they were at the time.
For sure. So it was definitely a testament to the shows that I was watching on TV. I was consuming a lot of international content, because obviously when you're, at home and your parents are always working, you find ways to amuse yourself. So you read books, you talk to people, but you also just watch TV. So the things that I saw on television really taught me a lot about what it means to stand out, how you make sure you stand out, because obviously I found myself in positions where I was always the one who was given the mic to speak. So how would people remember me? How do I assert myself without being too aggressive, also by just being me? What do I like? So I couldn't have hair for a long time. Hair is going to be a big part of my identity and my brand, because I'm exploring it. I'm excited. I wasn't allowed to wear pants as well, something as simple as that. Listen, we were very traditionally Zulu, in my family. So from a cultural perspective as well, I was rebelling, if you look at it, because this is not who I want to be, in the biggest scheme of my life, as I continue to identify who I am in the world. Let me explore. So all of these things that I didn't have access to became the tools that I used to identify myself and assert who I am, and obviously then ultimately begin to brand myself.
These are the moments when I wish I'd remembered to charge my phone earlier, because these are the nuggets I often just pull up my phone and start recording. But it's okay. It's okay. We always have the podcast. So as we wrap it up, you are nominated at the South African Film and Television Awards this year. Best TV Presenter category for your work on the songs.
Yes. What a 360 moment, because, if you've been following, well, for people who have been following my journey, or even for people who haven't, for me, it's always been a dream to be on SABC, and luckily I got to explore other networks and avenues before getting to the SABC. So it meant that by the time I get to the SABC, I'm polished, I'm seasoned, I can hold my own, I've earned my stripes, so to be recognized for the first show that I do on the platform in its first season just says a lot to me, and it means a lot for my career at this position and at this point, really. So I'm very grateful. I really, really am. It's so exciting. And also further than just, the nomination, which is, obviously a big deal, I'm also hosting the red carpet at the awards, which is just so exciting again. So I'm like, bags on bags. Let's go. It would be amazing to win. And I hope you guys definitely voted. But also just being a part of the awards in such a big way and opening the ceremony. I mean, the red carpet is just, right off the bat, we're setting the tone for the night ahead. We're getting to talk to other nominees and people in attendance. So it's really exciting.
Listen, I've always been a fan. I've always been the biggest fan. She is just one of those young ladies that is consistent. Ever since you got into the game, you are just serving Nomalanga Shozi at the most best and most excellent ways. I really do appreciate.
I respect you so much.
Thank you, Mama.
I respect you so much. Every time I speak to you, I get nervous. I'm sweating right now. She had to pass me a tissue, you guys, because I'm just like, am I saying the right thing? Am I up to standard for this Bridget Masinga? I don't think you guys understand. For me, this is such a monumental, point. Just even in my career, to be interviewed by you on your show really is such a big deal. So thank you so much for having me.
Saying him Dala, when the kids start giving you your flowers, you must know that you're old.
It's not even that. It's because you have done what you needed to do and you're still doing it. You're still blazing your own trail.
Thank you, Mama.
I'm just giving you your flowers because you deserve them.
Thank you, Mama.
You really do.
Completely appreciate it. We're looking forward to you telling us that you've clinched this. It's going to be on the mantle because you deserve it. Best TV presenter category. And of course, she's also going to be on the red carpet. It's going to be an incredible evening. You don't want to miss it. From myself and my team, and of course, our guest this afternoon, Nomalanga Shozi, we thank you for being a part of our show and for always choosing to be in conversation with us on SAFM, or rather SAFM, I should say. Inshallah, God willing, we get to do it again tomorrow.
South African Airways is expanding in the DRC. We now offer direct flights from Johannesburg to Lubumbashi, the heart of the DRC's mining hub. Our convenient arrival time allows seamless connections to key regions like Ndola and the Copper Belt, opening up new growth opportunities. Traders can benefit from our generous baggage allowance, while SAA's superior aircraft belly capacity ensures your cargo reaches most parts of Congo on the same day. Book now at flysaa.com or contact your travel agent. South African Airways, connecting Africa to the world, one flight at a time.
The top stories at 3 o'clock. Gqeberha mass murder suspect shot and killed, and another arrest in the diamond investment scam. A very good afternoon. The suspect in the mass murder of 5 people in Gqeberha in the Eastern Cape has been killed during a shootout with the police. He allegedly shot and killed 5 men inside a house at an informal settlement in New Brighton. Police say the deceased was the only suspect in the mass shooting. Nelson Mandela Bay District Commissioner Vuyisile Nqatha.
As from last night, we were tracing and tracking the suspect because we're very fortunate to know the identity in terms of the name of the suspect. And today, the suspect was found inside the house. I want to believe that's where he was hiding, and he tried to fight with the police, and the police retaliated and defended themselves. He was fatally wounded with his firearm lying next to him. So the suspect is therefore killed.
Another suspect, believed to be part of an alleged diamond investment scam, has been arrested. This brings the total number of those nabbed in the matter to 9, following a multidisciplinary operation led by the Hawks in the Northern Cape. The suspects were arrested